we could be getting closer to a decision on the Keystone Pipeline. New Secretary of State John Kerry met with his Canadian counterpart Friday, and a main part of their discussion was the fate of Keystone. Congressman Fred Upton, a Republican from Michigan, he is chairman of the House Energy Committee, and he joins us right here in New York right now. Congressman, welcome to the program.
It's still Fred, Stu. Welcome.
No. It's Mr. Chairman. I know my place. Seriously. Do you think we have a probability here of a reversible President Obama and saying yes to Keystone?
Well, I hope that that'll happen. And there's been strong bipartisan support in favor of Keystone. Really, the last 4.5 years, this has been pending before the administration. Last week, 146 members, Republicans and Democrats, sent a letter to the president and say, hey, it's time to get this thing done. We have a majority
What's
in the
your
Senate.
judgment, Fred? I'm going to forgive you for saying. What's your judgment? Yes or no?
I hope that he does this. I'm not convinced. I will tell you, I am not convinced that he will. And the sad thing is that I'm sure the Canadians made the point on Friday when they met with Secretary Kerry. Look, we're going to do this no matter what. We're going to go from 1 million barrels a day to 4 million barrels of production.
The Canadians will do that.
Yes, before the end of the decade. And if it doesn't come to the lower 48 to be refined there, creating the jobs, 20,000 direct jobs, 100,000 indirect, they'll send it to China. They'll build the pipeline east to the Atlantic and send it by boat to the refineries in New Orleans. It'll just raise the cost.
It's a very big deal, because if the president did okay it, it would signal a reversal on energy policy.
That's right.
I mean, you bring a lot of jobs in, and he might reverse on fracking. So you'd have a real energy revolution in America.
That's right. You know, we can be North American energy independent. Let's utilize our friends in Canada and Mexico. Sure. Let's use our resources to be competitive with the rest of the world.
So why doesn't
it can happen?
Why doesn't he just jump at it? I mean, it creates jobs, energy independence very, very quickly. Real jobs, no cost to the government, no cost to the taxpayer. But why do you think he's not doing it?
There's no good reason not to do so.
But why?
That's why it's bipartisan.
Are the environmentalists that powerful?
They're pretty strong. They, without question, they made a point that they did not want this thing done. They're going to have another protest in another week or two in Washington as well. But you know, this thing has been bipartisan. Yes, Senator Kerry voted against it when he was a senator from Massachusetts. He's in a different position now. Let's hope that he makes the right decision and says, okay, we're ready for this after 4.5 years.
I've got to leave the subject, but I'll leave it with you being somewhat skeptical that the president will approve Keystone. That's where we leave it?
I'm not. I'd like to think that he will, but yeah, I won't be surprised either way.
All right. Now I've got to turn to the question of whether or not we have a spending problem in the United States. You're right in the middle of the debate. I want to refer you to Nancy Pelosi, who appeared on Fox News Sunday, and in it she said, we do not have a spending problem. Just let me roll some tape for you. Have a look at this.
And cuts in education, scientific research, and the rest are harmful, and they are what are affected by the sequestration. So it is almost a false argument to say we have a spending problem.
All right, so there's two questions here. Do we or do we not have a spending problem? And are we going to sequester and cut domestic spending significantly? First question, do we have a spending problem?
Both answers are yes. Both answers are yes. And remember, the president said he wanted a balanced approach. He got his revenue back last month, January 1st, with the resolve of the fiscal cliff issue. He raised literally $600 billion in new taxes. No real spending cuts. What this sequester does on March 1st, it says, look, it's coming. It's going to be an $85 billion reduction in current spending for this fiscal year. And it comes unless we pass something to turn it off, and that's not going to happen.
You in favor of sequestration?
It has to happen without an alternative. You know, in the House last year under Speaker Boehner and Cantor, we passed in the House 2 different bills with spending offsets on the sequester. And the Senate didn't take either one of them up. So we are now left in the position of this sequester that's going to come.
Go ahead, Charles.
You know, there's no doubt that the tables have been turned. I think everyone thought the Republicans would be fighting tooth and nail over sequester, not for it to go through. Does this also give the Republicans the moral high ground later on to say, listen, this was a sacred cow of ours. We bit the bullet. Now it's time to do the same with entitlements.
Yeah, we're all seeing that sacrifice, and believe me, there are some real concerns on defense and intelligence cuts that are coming. But I mean,
absolutely,
you'll find the right group out there looking for their little section. But we've got to get off this we've got to be able to reduce spending, and that is happening with the sequester. We'll see another debate later on in a few months as it relates to entitlements.
Let me sum it up like this, and thank you very much for being with us, by the way. Fred,
Yes.
you say
Got it, see?
probably the president will not allow the Keystone Pipeline, but yes, we do have a spending problem, and yes, we probably
I
will.
want to be surprised by the president. I'd like him to say tomorrow night at the State of the Union, we're ready. 4.5 years,
Give me odds.
it's ready.
What are the odds?
I don't think he's going to say that.
You don't think he's going to say it. Congressman Upton, what a pleasure. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks.
Much obliged to you. Now to our new